So we're going to start off with Conor McGregor. Off the top, I really highly recommend for people that are following this story and want a really good kind of dissertation of it. Luke Thomas over at Morning Combat and his own YouTube channel did this hour-long interview with this reporter with News Talk in Ireland. He's also he's a very well-known crime reporter. He also does a podcast, Inside the Crime. They did a whole podcast covering the trial. His name is Frank Graney. And he spoke about, he was in the court day after day, and even listening to this way, and I had been following this pretty closely, like there were details in this that I was hearing, like just from the different reporters, like there's little details you hear. One thing that was really, I would say pretty noteworthy in this discussion was just Frank Graney describing how those in the courtroom got to see the photos of Nikita Hand and the bruising that she endured after this incident in December of 2018, and just describing the photos as just horrific, and that the paramedic stated they were the worst that they had ever seen of someone in this state, and black and blue from head to toe. And it's like, I had a sense of like this bruising obviously was concerning, and hearing his description, I mean, it was quite something. And I think that was probably a big key to this, is a lot of like the forensic evidence and those that testified in terms of those that examined Nikita Hand. I'm sure that played a very big role in the jury that did find Conor McGregor civilly liable. So for the timeline of this, they will now be back in court on Thursday, because now it's a case of figuring out like the like who is paying what here. And it's a bit of an interesting case because Conor McGregor was found civilly liable. And typically, like in these cases, when you lose, like you have to cover the expenses. But his friend, the co-defendant James Lawrence, they did not find him civilly liable, and therefore it's unknown if Nikita Hand may be on the hook for any of his legal fees and such. And that's a part that is also stressed here, is the fact that, you know, you have a lot of people that in these cases quite unfairly will look at the victim, and the first thought is they are going after money. And the fact is, like, this was an enormous risk for her to go the civil route, because in the event of a loss and not being able to prove this, like she would have been on the hook for all of these legal fees. And you can imagine the legal fees that would be attached to Conor McGregor. Like, he has one of the largest like attorneys, barristers over there in Ireland, who has represented some really, really high profile cases as well about this. But I would encourage people to go listen to this interview. Jack Wannon has also written a story about the interview on the website. So if you want to go to postwrestling.com, that is there for people to check out. It's a really engaging and it gives you a lot of the facts and details of somebody that was right there firsthand in the courthouse. And also, like, speaking about the reaction to Conor McGregor, who, like, it has sounded as though, not just with this case, but over a lot of time, that Conor McGregor's reputation in Ireland has gone down dramatically. Like, this guy, like, certainly he is going to have his contingent of support, but it seems like he has just, like, I have seen so much written over the weekend of just a lot of opinion pieces and such that have just, like, really taken Conor McGregor to task here. And the first, I would say, significant shoe to drop in terms of damage to Conor McGregor's image and business is IO Interactive, who are they are the distributor of the Hitman video game that Conor McGregor has a role in their latest release. And they put out a statement that, in light of the recent court ruling regarding Conor McGregor, IO Interactive has made the decision to cease its collaboration with the athlete, effective immediately. We take this matter very seriously and cannot ignore its implications. Consequently, we will begin removing all content featuring Mr. McGregor from our storefronts starting today, that being on Monday. And I mean, to this point, UFC has not issued any type of public statement about Conor McGregor. McGregor's also a co-owner of BKFC. They have not stated anything. I don't know how much this will permeate into his fight career, but outside of fighting, when it comes to movies that he has been attached to, brands, the the Rape Crisis Network in Ireland is like making a campaign for retailers to stop selling all of Conor McGregor's like whiskey and products, to divest themselves of selling his products. Like like he has his reputation is in the dirt, and it might not, like, fighting is this weird insulated world from a lot of this stuff, but in the real world, like, this is going to harm Conor McGregor. I would say significantly, and this this omission from a video game is perhaps just the first thing, because he's got his name and brand across a lot of forms of entertainment, not just sport.
Yeah. When we first discussed this story on Friday, I was extremely cynical about much of this hurting his image, because I don't know. I think I've been in a very cynical state about how often people like this might get a pass in the public recently. And I'm happy to see, at least with this video game company, that they seem to care. And hopefully others might seem to care about something like this. I mean, I don't know much more, like how much more you really need in order to be uncomfortable, I suppose, supporting this man and all the endeavors that he's involved with. Even if the UFC, I think, has kind of gained a bit of a reputation as like almost a haven for like people who like don't really give a shit about this sort of thing. I'm glad that like there are other industries where Conor is involved with, and other people are involved with, that might still.
Yeah, I mean, the UFC got a break because this past weekend's card was in Macau, and I don't believe Dana White was over there. And then this weekend they're off. But the following weekend is their next pay-per-view in Las Vegas, and I'm thinking that's going to be the first kind of public event where a Dana White would be asked about Conor McGregor. And like, we will see. Like, Dana White has a history of, like, my thought is he's either going to just like blow it off and say, hey, we're going to Conor's off and we don't know what's going on, or I think he's just going to pledge his loyalty to Conor McGregor. Like, I would be very stunned to see any like condemnation of Conor McGregor, but you can't put words in people's mouth. But they do have like 2 weeks to prepare, because I think that this story will be, UFC will have to comment on it. And
if the journalists ask, and do you think the story? I mean, you have to think the story is big enough that a journalist would ask, right?
I think it would be asked. I do. Yeah. Conor McGregor did. So he had a weekend of posting and deleting messages online. His last message that he put up sometime this afternoon on X was that, quote, "People want to hear from me. I needed time. I know I made mistakes. 6 years ago, I should have never responded to her outreaches. I should have shut the party down. I should never have stepped out on the woman I love the most in the world. That's all on me. As much as I regret it, everything that happened that night was consensual, and all the witnesses present swore to that under oath. I have instructed my legal team to appeal the decision. I can't go back, and I will move forward. I am beyond grateful to my family, friends, and supporters all over the world who have stayed by my side. That's it. No more. Getting back to the gym. The fight game awaits." And so that is his statement. And I mean, we will see what he proceeds if he in fact goes. I believe he has about 28 days to file an appeal, and we will see where that goes. But then it's, the burden is on him to present an appeal, and that there was some issue with the way that the court adjudicated this case, and if there is some argument, but that's where it is. And he's like, I just think this is a very, very damning finding on Conor McGregor and his image. And I think that certainly it feels in Ireland like this is a mainstream story.
So you're saying on Friday, you weren't seeing much mainstream coverage of this story outside of Irish press. Has that changed on Monday?
I've seen more of it. I wouldn't say this has been like a sweeping story in the U.S., but I mean, the big outlets are covering it because...
Is it growing?
I think so. Yes, I do. And the fact that you have like a major company like with a pretty popular game dropping him. I mean, now you have like a business aspect to this, that some of these outlets are going to more focus on the business side rather than the gritty details of what is what was presented in court. But now you have like a business story attached to it as well. That I can see other places, like just throwing out like an example, like a sports business journal. Now that like opens up an outlet that looks at, how this harms the UFC, how this harms, Conor McGregor. So I do imagine, and the fact that he is looking to appeal this, they will be back in court this week. I mean, I think there's a lot of attention on it. And like the Irish press have gone like very hard on Conor McGregor, and I don't think he did himself any favors with kind of his responses over the weekend and deleting messages and such, and just seemed to be, posting out of anger and frustration, and that was, struck a lot of people as just a real sour note on top of everything else before you even get to that. So that is the latest on Conor McGregor.